Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. So today I'm going to be doing my March wrap up and I read 7 books this month, which I'm very excited about. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to read anything, especially like lately work and life has just been really busy as it can be, so I haven't been making as much time for reading, but I still managed to fit in quite a bit of time because I finished 7 books. Part of that was because of the Underhypes readathon. I will link to my wrap-up video that I did for that where I talked about some of those books really quickly. So the books that I finished during that week was A Tyranny of Petticoats by Jessica Spotswood, or edited by Jessica Spotswood. This is a young adult anthology. There are 15 different stories about different women throughout different time periods in the United States. Every chapter is a different time, a different place, and a different young girl that you are following, and it's written by a different young adult author. So some of the authors in here include Jessica Spotswood as well as like Y.S. Lee, Marie Lu, Marissa Meyer, things like that. I really enjoyed this. I actually made a whole video about this on the Book Riot channel, so I'm going to link to that. So if you are interested in this, you can check that out for more information. But this was a really great anthology. I'm usually not someone who's really excited about anthologies or short story collections because they're very hit or miss with me, but I felt like this one was just really interesting sounding, so I decided to give it a try, and I was not disappointed whatsoever in it. I think it gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this if you are someone who likes young adults specifically, but even in general, if you just like short story collections or anthologies about really awesome girls, and this one would be one worth checking out. The other book that I read was The Salinger Contract by Adam Langer. I've had this one for a really long time. I think I got this in like a Book Riot quarterly box or something like that. I think I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, but it felt very like insider knowledge-y. The main character in this book is also named Adam Langer, I believe, or the narrator of this book. And it's a mystery novel where this writer who had this one really big bestseller comes into town. He was friends with Adam for a while and then they sort of lost touch, and then he comes back in town because he's promoting his newest book. The rest of his books haven't done so well and they sort of get wrapped up into this mystery. This is one of those books where the mystery itself wasn't really that interesting. It feels like a book written for other writers or other people in the book industry. So in that sense, I found it kind of interesting because I have a little bit of knowledge of the publishing industry and things like that, and they make references to like real authors and things like that, which is always really interesting. And the way this book is written, you're supposed to sort of like question whether or not it's real or not. But yeah, it was like intriguing enough to finish, but is it something super amazing? Not so much. I'm not really crazy about these sort of super meta type books, so they never really are like books that I champion or anything like that. But it's not bad by any means whatsoever. It was enjoyable, and you know, it was just like a fun little quick read. And then I read Being Mortal by Atul Gawande, and I absolutely love this book. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I did a full book review on this one, so I'm not going to talk about this one at all in this video because I did a full review on it. So if you're interested in my thoughts on it, definitely check that out. But definitely my favorite read of the month, I think. Actually, it's between this and the last book that I read. But yeah, I mentioned this in a bunch of different videos, and I mentioned this in my By the Book tag, which I also did this month as probably one of the greatest books that I've read recently. It's a nonfiction book. It's relatively short. It's less than 300 pages long, and it talks about what happens to people as they get towards the end of their life and all of the difficult questions and choices and things that we're forced to face that we never really had to face before as a society because, you know, for the first time in history we are living longer, so we don't really know what exactly happens to our bodies and our minds when we get to those older ages. The next book that I finished was Sudden Death by Alvaro Enrique. This was probably one of those books that was highly anticipated for me. This is a book that is just like super bonkers. I ended up rating this one like I think it was either 2.5 or 3 stars, something like that, on Goodreads. I read the whole thing over the course of a weekend because I knew that it was really crazy going into it, and so I had a very strong suspicion that I just had to like push through the whole thing in one go. If I stopped at any point, I would just completely lose my place or forget all the details, things like that. This book jumps around in time a whole lot. You are jumping back and forth between this tennis match as well as throughout time to different points in history, and you're seeing sort of how like all of these different things are really interconnected in ways that you wouldn't expect. But I feel like this was just one of those books where I just didn't completely get everything that the author was trying to do because I don't have such a strong knowledge or background in world history and in these specific events that I just feel like I wasn't the target audience for this book. This book is for people who know more about history and can sort of pick up on all of the things the author was doing. Like, it was sort of a fun ride, you know, because it's again, only like 200-ish pages, so it doesn't take very long to get through. It's super bonkers, and if you're willing to just like go along with it, it's kind of fun. But when I finished the book, I was just like, I don't think I got it, and I completely think that's because of just me and my background. I don't have enough knowledge of these different historical events to have it strongly impact me or have these storylines strongly impact me. The next book that I finished was The Unquiet Dead by Asma Zehana Khan. This is the second book in the, I don't know what they're calling this series, but it's the sequel to The Unquiet Dead, which I read in January of 2015. It was one of my favorite books of 2015, so when I found out that the second book in the series was coming out this year, I was super excited. So I got it from the library, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I actually am going to record a full review on this one because I have a lot of thoughts on it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but I think that if you read The Unquiet Dead, this is still worth picking up because the characters, or the detectives, are still really interesting, and I think that that's the main reason why I love this series so much. Asma Zehana Khan has created these detectives who are really complex and interesting and different from many others that you see really in the mystery market. In this series, you are following Detective Essa Katak, who is part of this special unit in Canada's police force that deals with minority sensitive topics. And in this story, they get details that there might be a terrorist bombing that's happening from Muslims who attend this specific mosque. Detective Katak and his partner Rachel Getty are basically going in to try to figure out if that's actually the case. Definitely good, but it wasn't as great as the first one to me, and I have reasons for that, and I will talk about all of that in my review, which will hopefully come out next Friday. The next book that I finished was Small Victories by Anne Lamott. This is my first time reading a full Anne Lamott book, and I listened to this as an audiobook as well, and she narrates the audiobook, which is actually really nice. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I didn't completely love it. I mean, some of the essays I really enjoyed, but this specific collection is extremely political, which I think is just because of like the time that we're currently in. Like, we're in the middle of a presidential cycle right now, and I feel like all I hear about from everyone, friends, family, media, everyone, is just about politics. And so every time there was a section or even just like a one-off comment about a president, I just was like, ugh, can we not? So I think that's part of the reason why I knocked it down 3 stars. Like, I think there are actually complete essays that I just skipped over because I knew that they were about politics quite heavily. So I just completely skipped those essays because I just can't handle that talk right now because it's just, I'm overwhelmed by it. It's happening everywhere and I don't need it in my books right now. One of the essays in this collection talks about how Anne Lamott tried online dating, which made me feel so much better about the fact like her reactions are very similar to my own reactions. So it made me feel a lot better about the idea of online dating and how just not great it is. Yeah, if you are someone who likes Anne Lamott, I think this is worth checking out, although people have said that this is a collection of new and older stuff, so if you are well versed in all of her stuff, then some of these might be repeats. But I like this. I definitely will be picking up more Anne Lamott. I have Bird by Bird. I own that. I just still haven't read it yet. So I need to get around to that one because I know that's like her most well-known, most well-revered. And the final book that I finished this month was Man Tiger by Eka Kurinawan. This book was so good. I picked this up because this was longlisted for the Man Booker International Prize, and I'm so glad that I picked this one up. It's relatively short. It's less than 200 pages, I want to say, and it takes place in Indonesia. At the beginning of the story, you find out that this man who's pretty well known and well revered in the community has just been killed by this like young boy, and by young I mean like 20, so he's not really a boy, I guess, young man. And he was killed because the young man has like bitten into his neck and basically like broke one of his arteries or something along those lines. It was like a really gruesome, disgusting thing. That's where it starts, and then you kind of like jump back and forth in time following the story of these 2 families and of these different characters and sort of all of the different events that led up to this event and why this happened. But where the story starts and where the story ends was just so good. Like, I am just so impressed by this writer right now. I started reading this book and I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. It's like kind of has like a magical realism element to it, but it really is just like a family drama. And even though it's only like 170, 180 pages, you find out so much about these characters. Like, Eka Kurinawan is able to create such depth and complexity to all of these different characters. You start off sort of rooting for certain characters, and then by the end of the book you might have completely opposite feelings towards them, and any thoughts that you have about characters at the beginning of the book can completely change by the time you finish it, which is so amazing to when you think about it. And the fact that this is like, you know, so short, that's what always surprises me, is like books that are like this, that are so short, that are able to do so much. It's what makes me hate books that are like 500-600 pages long and seem to be about nothing. So I really enjoyed this. If you are only going to pick up one book off the Man Booker International long list, this would be a great one to pick up. Camille actually did a full review of this book, and so I'm going to link to that as well so you guys can check that out for more thoughts. But yeah, this was really fantastic, and I kind of just want to buy my own copy of this book because it's totally worth it. So yeah, that was my March for you guys. I am currently reading Blackwater Rising by Attica Locke. This is her first novel, I believe, and it's the first book in the J. Porter series. The second book, Pleasantville, just came out early last year. I believe it came out last year, or maybe it was this year. I don't remember exactly. And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm probably only like a quarter of the way through or so, but I'm hoping to get through that this weekend, preferably. It's a pretty fast read. All the chapters are like really quick, so it's easy to just, you know, zoom through it when you have the time. So I'm hoping to do that this weekend. So yeah, that was everything. Feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know if you've read any of these books that I've talked about, or if you have any questions or comments about any of them. Or if you don't have any of that, you can always leave what your favorite read was this month. I always love reading those because you guys often talk about books that I've never heard of before. So definitely leave that down in the comment section below. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.